Hello, I'm Ambah and welcome to the Design Tales. This is a knitting podcast where I talk about my knitting pattern designs, new and old. Usually I'll release an episode when I have some new patterns to share. And sometimes I'll dive into the archives and share some of my older designs too. Today I have two new patterns to share with you, something new and something not quite so new. And I'll start with the new pattern, which is the Zippy Scarf. A sweet little skinny scarf, and it is the zippy knit. It really knits up quite quickly. It's a cute narrow scarf that can be worn as a little sweet neck accessory. It can be wrapped around a couple of times and tied for a neat look, worn just as a dangly accessory, and it also looks pretty cute as a head scarf. Dangle the ends around. So yes, this is Zippy. It's knit tip to tip with the fun chevron patterning. I started with this version, the two colour version. I had a striped scarf in mind, and this is where my pattern evolution took me to. I wanted something a bit fun and funky for the colours. Initially I had thought I might go with a purple and coral orange kind of combination, but I couldn't go past this green, which is a colourway called Ent that I have used in 3 projects this year so far. I'll be sharing more of those with you because I haven't really shared them yet, but this was a fingering weight skein I had of that particular colourway. So I finished this pretty quickly and wrote the pattern up, and testing also happened quickly, a fast turnaround for this pattern. Once I had knit this one, I realised that it would make a fantastic scrappy scarf as well. So I dove into my stash for all the little fun scrappy bits and chose these kind of earthy colours to combine. I mixed up a couple of different brands. I just used the leftover fingering weight yarn that I had. Each stripe takes 10 yards. Some of the end stripes take a bit less. So it's quite an excellent way to use up just those little bits that you've got left over from projects, and knits up really fast. I think this would be a fantastic gift knit. Really nice little gift for someone, or just make a few for yourself. They're quite the potato chip knitting project, especially with the colour change. Although I will confess there was a weaving in of the ends. With this one, the ends are carried, the yarn is carried up along the I-cord edge as you knit it, so there was no ends to weave in with this. And I think it would be fun even to do a 2 colour version, but perhaps add a pop of a bright colour in there somewhere just to have some fun, colour play fun, and emphasise that cute chevron shaping. It's an easy project to make longer. Some of our testers made theirs a bit longer. You could make it shorter. You could even make it wider if you wanted. You would just work more increase section and then correspondingly more decrease section. So it's quite a versatile little project. Our test knitters have knit some really beautiful versions. A couple have used a colour change yarn, so instead of changing yarns, they just use one yarn, and it really emphasised the colour change yarn beautifully with the chevron shaping. It's quite effective. There's a couple of fade versions, some scrappy versions, and just a beautiful array of 2-tone versions as well. If you check out the projects on the Ravelry pattern page, you'll find plenty of inspiration there. Zippy is this week's featured pattern. Each week I feature a pattern for 7 days. Usually it's an old pattern from my archives, which I love to do. I have fun looking back through the archives and rediscovering old patterns, and also allowing you to discover my old patterns. I've been making little videos for them as well, the samples that I still have, and I think that's really useful that people can see them in that more 3-dimensional way rather than just the flat photos. And many of my older designs I used a mannequin to model as well, so it's good to revisit some of those on a human. It's quite rare that a brand new pattern makes it to the featured pattern for the week. I don't usually feature patterns that I've published during the year or that particular year because they already have had a special introductory offer when I publish them. Usually I have a 20-25% off special offer on my new designs. However, for this one, this cute little project, I couldn't resist making this a featured Friday pattern. So for the next week, from Friday, August 7th, if you're watching this in the future, you may have missed this particular featured pattern, but please check, because there's always a featured pattern and maybe you'll love whatever is being showcased now as much as this. If you're catching this within the 7-day period, you can enjoy an automatic 50% off Zippy Scarf, no code needed, in my Ravelry and Etsy stores. You just go and add it to your cart and you'll see the automatic discount applied. So I hope you enjoy that and enjoy Zippy, and zip along, make a few of your own Zippy scarves, and please tag me on Instagram and Ravelry so that I can see them, because I think the next best thing to finishing my own FOs is seeing all of yours. Yeah, that was a really fun design to just quickly have that idea and have it knit and tech edited and tested in a really relatively short period. The last design I published, Holy Moly, took 8 months, I think, from me starting my first sample to publishing. So some of them take such a long time to share with you. It's really nice to just have a zippy whippy to share. So yeah, short and sweet for this first design. And the second one, I had an episode of this a couple of episodes back talking about it, because it was the mystery knit-along pattern, the Soul Shawl. And I promised I'd come back and share details with it once it had been fully published. So we've had the knit-along. I'm just about to draw our prize winner for the FO prize thread. And there's so many beautiful finished objects in there. I'm pretty excited about it. I do use a random code generator, number generator, to draw prizes, because I just can't choose. I find it too hard to choose. There's just so many different and beautiful versions of the pattern. The pattern itself offered a DK weight option and a fingering weight option, and 2 versions of the fingering weight, one where you could use mini skeins. And then really it's up to the knitter to be as creative as they want to be, or just enjoy the process and happily knit along with whatever makes them happy. And I say that because there's some fantastic tweaks that some knitters made along the way, and it was really exciting to see some interpretations of the design. I'll begin with the first one I made, which is this, the fingering weight version. Maybe I'll just drape it while I talk a bit more about it. The idea for this shawl came about where I started to think about a June solstice knit along. Most years, every year for the last few years, I've designed something for the June solstice, and it started with the solstice wrap that I designed, and with a nod to solstice being winter solstice here in the southern hemisphere and summer solstice in the northern hemisphere. That year I made a DK weight option and a fingering weight option of the wrap, and it was a non-mystery knit along. We had lots of fun knitting that together in our respective hemispheres and during the solstice period. So over the years I've had a solstice cowl, and a couple of years have been mystery knit-alongs and some not. Last year I had neon sunshine, so it was very much sun themed, but it wasn't a mystery, with I had a square option and a rectangle option, so a kind of wrap option with intarsia retro sun design. I was starting to think about what I would do this year for this year's knit-along. And initially I wasn't planning on a mystery knit-along. I generally don't design a mystery until I get an idea for it. I don't like to kind of try and force the idea. And this time I just started by thinking about winter and summer, and started thinking about fires, as I've been knitting by the fire a lot during the winter. And in summer, up in the northern hemisphere, there's lots of campfires and s'mores and all the fun summer stuff, and camping. So I thought, a fireside theme project would be nice. And I also wanted to keep it a little bit low key. I settled on a 1 skein and one mini skein project, so it wasn't a huge amount of yarn, easy to find in the stash. A relatively quick knit, and I wanted it to be mellow, not a particularly stressful knit along. So with that in mind, I started thinking about a kerchief type of design. I thought initially like a bandana square was where I started, just with the kind of camp theme and something a bit cozy to tie around your neck, and a smaller project. Then I thought more about actually making it a triangle shawl, because that's a shape I really like to wear, and with the square I would probably fold it in half to wear it anyway. So I started to think a bit more about that as the basis for the design. And then I started thinking about stitch patterns. I had developed this sequence for my Knittrix shawl, which I published earlier this year, and decided to use that in a different shape, the triangle top down shape. Knittrix is knit end to end, so the lines go down in that one, and it doesn't have any mosaic or anything, it's just this sequence featured, which is the eyelets and the slip stitch. I really enjoyed that and decided to start with that and use a little bit of the mini skein for the first part of the shawl. And that's, I guess, when I realised that this would potentially be a really good mystery knit along, but it was a nice first clue. And with the bandana inspiration in mind, I wanted to have a more decorative element as well. So I started to think about colour work. Initially, with the square idea, I was thinking about perhaps stranded colour work for the project. And then when I decided on the triangle, I started playing around with some stranded ideas, but then settled on a motif, a mosaic motif. I saw one similar to this when trawling Pinterest, and just sketched out a bit of a variation of that for a nice floral motif. And then for the final part, clue 3, a lovely looped edging bind off, which is a little bit hard to see. And cozy garter stitch. Along the way I made tutorial videos to talk about, for clue 1, working the edges particularly, and just little notes about some of the colour change aspects. And then for clue 2, for the mosaic section, the edging on both edges has the main colour continuing on the I-cord, which means a very small intarsia section on the edge, which sounds complicated if you're worried about intarsia, but the tutorial shows how that works. It's just literally winding off a small amount of colour 1 to work that edge with. So you've got a bit of colour 1 at each edge to work those edge stitches. And then a tutorial for the looped edging. Once I'd finished this first version, I decided I would like to make it a mystery knit along. It occurred to me that a DK weight version of this would work really well too. So I knit this one, the DK weight version, in that green I mentioned before. I had decided I'd really like it to be a green colour, and I didn't have anything in my stash that sort of fit what I had in mind. So I trawled through some of the local yarn stores online, Australian stores, so I could get the yarn quickly. And in the Skiens Sisters store, came across this yarn, DK weight, by Prosper Yarns, who are a New Zealand yarn company. And it was the first time I had encountered their yarn. So I bought 2 skeins from them, from the Skiens Sisters, for this project. Initially I thought I might use like a neon green pop for the colour, but when the yarn came, I played around with a couple of ideas and settled on this sort of peachy neon, which is from the Wandering Flock, that I had in my stash, and love the effect of the two, especially with the floral theme. So yeah, that worked quite well, and I set about writing up the pattern. With mystery knit-alongs, I usually reach out to a list that I have that's just dedicated to yarn dyers and yarn stores. And if you're a yarn dyer or a yarn store owner and are not on that list, please reach out to me. I manually add people to the list, and it's so that I can talk about upcoming designs. It's a place where I can help yarnies get prepared with kits and things. They can also have access to patterns in advance and also the mystery knit-alongs. So a dedicated group of yarnies had the secret test knit that nobody knew about and produced some really gorgeous kits and versions of this shawl. When I was writing out the test email to them, it occurred to me that it would work really well with mini skeins. So I mentioned that and decided I would also knit a mini skein version as well alongside the test knitters so that I could work out how many rows of each colour, and I could add that into the pattern instructions as well. Kaz from Hodegepodge Skiens put together a few kits of her yarn, a few mini skein sets, which is 5 mini skeins for the main colour and then 1 mini skein for the contrast colour in the fingering weight for option. And she reached out to me showing me her sets and said I could choose one, which was very kind of her. So she sent me my choice of sets, which was this one, and it was perfect timing for me to knit it up for my pattern. So I knit this version up and loved how the colours turned out in the pop of the black contrast against this beautiful peachy pinky colourway. Quite lovely. It's a lot harder to see on this, but I actually did use a colour change yarn on this project as well for the contrast colour. It's really subtle. It subtly shifts from a kind of yellow through to blue there and pink in between. That's a spin cycle yarn that I had in my stash and liked how it paired with the shawl. Some cowl participants chose to knit the slip stitch dot rows in a different colour for each row, which looked fantastic, and a few other variations. Another one that was standout was a knitter. They knit a black background. They used neon and they changed the neon colours for the dots. They were one who worked their project like that. And then they had neon for the flowers. They also changed the centre colour of the flowers so that they were, I think, more yellow. I can't remember what the flowers were, but they had a bright yellow centre and then that popped out, which just looked fantastic. So definitely suggest that you go and look at some of the beautiful projects in the project pages. So for the mystery knit-along, the pattern was published in 4 parts. It had, for the first month, there was a cover page that had planning details like the gauge, the yarn, tools, materials, and an overview. Then each clue had its own separate page, PDF, with a total of 4 PDFs and pages, and each linked to a video tutorial relevant to the clue. But now that the cowl has officially finished, I have collated all of the clues into a separate PDF, so it's a single file PDF, and I've also collated the tutorial videos into a single video, which is chaptered, so you can skip ahead to the part that you want to see or where you're up to, and that has an overview at the start and then techniques for each of the sections, I call them now that they're no longer clues. So each section has a little technique video. And on Ravelry, the separate clues are still available separately for those who may still be working through the clues as individual PDFs, but now the pattern is also just a single file PDF. And to celebrate, I decided to have a little 20% off offer on the pattern as well. When I pre-launched it, I had 25% off, so those who bought in blindly had a nice discount to lure them into the mystery knit-along. And now that we've finished the mystery knit-along, I thought for the next week or so, I'd offer a 20% discount to celebrate the end of the cowl. If you're inspired by seeing the project and hearing about it today, the discount is automatically applied in my Etsy store, and in Ravelry you'll need a code, all caps, Soul Shawl 20, which is detailed on the pattern page. So you can just look on the pattern page and find out that code, copy and paste, pop it in, and enjoy 20% off. And again, if you do end up making a Soul Shawl, I'd love to see it. So be sure to tag me or post it in the Ravelry group. Even though the mystery knit-along has ended, I have an ongoing Show Your FO thread there. And that runs each year, so it's like a gallery. You can look through and see all the beautiful projects people have been knitting. I encourage our test knitters to post there, anyone who's finished any of my patterns, and also CAL participants can double post in there as well. And each month I randomly select a winner from the month's posts, the previous month's posts, at the start of the month. And at the end of the year, I draw an overall winner for a nice prize at the end of the year from all of the posts of the year. So it's fun. Then I get to see your beautiful projects as well and others, and maybe you win a prize. And as for styling, you can see I'm wearing mine kind of kerchief style. I've got that wrapped around with the ends dangling. The fingering weight versions are a little smaller than the DK weight version, which is sort of part of my vision, that it was like a little kerchief type project. Even the small ones would probably be cute little like headscarf kerchief style too. There's enough to be worn over the shoulders for a decent amount of back warmth, and then bring it in the front in a couple of ways. I've styled it with a shawl cuff. You could pop a shawl pin in there to hold it together, or tie it in front. But the mosaic border is quite a lovely part of the design that kind of stands out when you're wearing it in that way. And the larger one is much more substantial, so more warmth for a back worn shawl, nice over the shoulders, cozy. Tie it at the front, or use those other methods, a shawl, cuff or a pin to hold it in place, or wear it the way that I'm most likely to wear it. With that wide part at the front. So hopefully I've inspired you to make a zippy scarf or a soul shawl. And in other news this week, I have just announced a couple of workshops that I'll be teaching at an event called She's Crafty in Castlemaine, which is in Victoria, Australia. Castlemaine is about an hour and a half north of Melbourne, and there's a fantastic train service that runs there, so it's easily accessible by train. The She's Crafty event encapsulates several events. So part of it is workshops where myself and 4 other teachers will be teaching a combined total of 7 classes it's the 24th of October. There's crochet, 2 crochet classes and 5 knitting classes. I'll be teaching 2 of the knitting classes. One is mosaic knitting, which is the technique used here, and the other is intarsia knitting. Both classes are 3 hours long, and I'm really looking forward to them. And the event overall, because there's a lot happening on that day in Castlemaine. She's Crafty have hosted markets in Castlemaine and Melbourne over the past few years, and they'll be running the market again in the town hall. I'll link their website below so you can check out everything through the link in my comments. The market runs during the day. There's a curated selection of yarny stall holders, plenty of fabulous stall holders, all the good stuff. There's raffles, lots of fundraising for a couple of special causes, so it's nice to go and support and know that part of the money from the event goes to these causes, local causes and other. There'll be a fun tattoo flash day that I'm hoping I get a chance to join in on, but I suspect I might be a bit busy with the classes. So I believe there'll be knitting, fibre related tattoo flash, and people will have an opportunity to pick one and get a little tattoo from a local tattooist who is also donating proceeds from the day to a cause. Unfortunately, I hadn't planned to add this at the end, it just occurred to me too, so I think I'll do a future episode where I talk more in depth about the event and who's involved and the charity causes as well. But anyway, just a quick overview. The other thing that's exciting about the day is that there will be a yarn ball. So the town hall, at the end of the day, the market will be cleaned out and a ball will be set up. They're calling it Cocktails and Cast On. So there's going to be food provided. A local business is setting up and offering cocktails. I'm sure there'll be options that will suit everyone. So the event will be a lovely chance to just hang out after the market day and after the classes, and all get to connect with each other. And there'll be a few little surprises along the way for that as well. So I'm really excited to be going. Castlemaine is such a beautiful town. As many of you will know, I used to live there. It's lovely to visit. It's just gorgeous. There's so many things to see. I mean, you can comfortably go to Melbourne and back on the same day on the train. There's late trains, so you can still go to the Cast On and Cocktails event and catch the train home. But if you have the opportunity to stay, there's lots that you could enjoy on the Sunday as well. Cafes and beautiful shops and places to walk and explore. Definitely a wonderful experience to enjoy. So hopefully I'll get to meet and reconnect with some of you on that weekend, October 24th, just in a few months. And that's it for me for this episode of the Design Tales. I'll be back really soon. And until then, love and stitches. Thanks for watching.